Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and guys, welcome to the Hard Truth Show. I apologize for some reason, got a cold this evening, but this stream that I'm about to do tonight, I have been working on the content for this for, I don't know, multiple weeks now, and there is so many different things that's going to happen in the near future. I can't call it all, and I'm not going to try to, but the bulk of what's getting shared today, I hope it can help save somebody's life later down the road. With that said, we're going to be talking about 14 events to be prepared for in the very near future that's going to affect us all. And real quickly, for those that may not be aware of this, I always do the stream on the Father's Scriptural Biblical Calendar on Sabbaths at 8 o'clock p.m. Later this summer, that's going to swap up to 9 p.m. And on new month days, we do it at lunchtime at noon, 12 Eastern time. Okay, so if you want to check out that app, it's World's Last Chance Calendar app. It's free on the App Store. It's for Android or Apple. So make sure and check that out. I just want to say shalom to everybody in the comments. Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. Real quickly, just going to always throw the disclaimer out there. Information and content shared on here does the views of guests, and not only that, but the content I share does not necessarily reflect the views and the beliefs of this channel or my beliefs. And also on the fair use, content shared on here is for information, edification, and educational purposes and intents. Real quickly, next week, Brother Matt from Back to the Covenant will be on here. It will be about biblical cosmology, why it matters. And give me just a second, guys. Get that up there. That should be stream number 20. So we'll have that going on next week. And then the following week after that, I should be, if all goes to plan, have Brother Joel on. That's also been a part of Loud Cry Ministries, soundtheloudcry.com for years, have him on as well. And also, if you want to check out Brother Matt's channel, I was on there last night and we were talking about the lesser light. And I think he may be doing another part on that later, another segment. So you might want to check that out. And give me just a second to get this screen down. And also, if you want to reach out to me, if there's anything you want me to cover, a topic that you're wanting me to cover, if there's a speaker you'd like to have on, a guest you'd like to have on the show, have them hit me up at seventrumpetsprepper@gmail.com. Be glad to talk with them. There's a couple other things going on I've got on my notes here, and we're going to jump right into this because it's going to be, I have no idea how long this stream's going to run tonight. I have a ton of content to share, and it's very timely to the time that we're living in as well. United in Yah is having a online conference. I believe the ticket sales of it's going to support orphan ministries and a couple other things. It's going to a good cause, and I'm going to help support that. I will be speaking at that later this year as well. I think my segment's an hour, and it'll be covering the last days and preparing for that and etc. So without further ado, I think I got through everything a little quicker this stream, and I've been holding about at 7 minutes. So I've been trying to get that done a little quicker now. Last note is, guys, if you have not hit the like button, please hit the like button. Likes are free. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to financially help and support the channel, appreciate it. The links are in the video description below. Also, the link to Brother Matt's video stream the other day, and also to the United in Yah YouTube channel, and all that information, it's in the video description below as well. So you can check that out. All right. So we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. I want you to bear with me as I go through this, because now I take things a lot different than other preppers do on here. Okay. I put the scripture with it to show you where we're at with it. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, we need to prepare, we need to do this and that, but nobody's really thinking about the last days, right? I mean, not a lot of people. And the 31st of this month will make a decade, 10 years of me being on here. And I'd love to see this year go over 100,000 subscribers, and I really think it's possible. Especially if people help continue to share the content and everything. And good evening to everybody that's piling in the building. Last little tidbit note I'd like to share with you is the power. It's the tongue, a creative force. Okay. This book's about the power of the tongue. It's Charles Capps. It's been an interesting read I've been working on lately. Y'all know I'll share books on here from time to time that I'm reading through and stuff. I found it's A very interesting read. All right, so we're going to pull up the stream here, the presentation. Now, as we go through this, like I said, there's going to be a couple things, and I'm actually going to fold my notes over because I made a couple notes on here so that I don't miss anything, because I kept going back to this and adding stuff, is that throughout this presentation, I will be covering different events. But there's one thing fluid throughout this, is there will be earthquakes take place at different times throughout the course of the end of the history of this age. And so that's kind of linked in with certain events as well. So I didn't really give earthquakes its own segment. It's just kind of attached, I would say. And there's one other event that's got like two things simultaneous attached. And you'll see this as we go through this. But first off, I want to give these 5 honorable mentions that is possible also, because so many people will experience this, have experienced this, and I hope some will never experience this because it's so painful. Number 1, during the time we're living in right now, there's going to be a lot of pink slips handed out. A lot of people's going to lose their jobs, and this usually starts a snowball effect downhill that continues to tumble and be destructive to your life and just keep going and going and going. I have been terminated from my job before. Matter of fact, my dad was sick in the hospital, and I made a decision to go and caregive to my father and take care of him than to show up to work for a day or two. And many years ago, that cost me my job at the place. But it was a scummy place anyway, and I hated working for it. So it was all for the best. But anyway, it can happen. And you need to be prepared for this, because with all the events coming, it's already going to be hard enough hanging on to things, that a job is going to be something you're going to probably have to learn to be fluid with, unless you're self-employed and a contractor, because it's going to happen. Divorce. If you've never been divorced, and I have, I will tell you this, is you really never know the pain of this until you get brought down to the courthouse and your spouse drops you off at the family courthouse pay window for child support and alimony. This absolutely destroys people's lives. And on everything else going on in the world events that's going to take place, this honorable mention right here, this takes people years to recover from. I don't care who you are, if you're a multimillionaire or a poor beggar on the street almost. Anytime somebody goes through a divorce, it takes years, months, and years to recover from this. And some people actually never recover if we're actually honest about this situation. And it's something you definitely need to prepare for, because, Scripture is very plain. Messiah laid it out there, that families are going to have falling outs, and people are not going to walk out the truth. You're going to, he come to send a sword. People thought he come to send peace on the earth, but he actually come to send a sword. And there's going to be division, and people's going to part ways here in the near future. And I mean, it's something, after being through it once, I already prepared my mind that, if I ever pulled the trigger and got married again, and I did, that this is a potential that it could happen again. And it's a risk we take in this generation, especially because things are not like they used to be, and things do not last. And I'm not trying to have a sermon on this. I'm just telling you guys all these little warnings up front, because the other stuff that I'm about to share, the 14 things, it's really going to be a real deal scenario that you have to deal with. But just something to keep in mind, young men, especially, is that 50% of marriages pretty much anymore end in divorce. I don't even want to get into second, third marriages. And 80% of them is initiated by the woman. And that's facts. I know people might not want to hear that, but I'm just telling you, protect yourself out there. Number 3 is, after a person's went through job loss and then possibly a divorce, the next thing that you're going to probably deal with is health problems, heart conditions, stress, trauma. Who knows? I've been hospitalized before and sick. I mean, this is something we have to deal with and keep in the back of our head that this might happen, and especially while these events are playing out live. So it's so important we need to keep our health up and be vigilant about taking care of our spiritual, mental, and physical well-being, because this can happen. And it is a real potential, and bad things can strike at any time. It's just how it is. And my heart goes out to somebody. Somebody said right here, divorce completely guts you. I'm going through this painful process currently, and it truly brings you to your knees. Yes, it does. And it is always hard on people. Another one right there. My parents got divorced when I was young. It was terrible. So sorry about that, brother. It's a bad situation, folks. Now, the next thing that happens is, let's say you lost your job. Let's say that you lost your marriage. Let's say you lost your health. A lot of times this will happen and you will end up with bankruptcy. Now, that can happen from various other things, but I'm just saying, I think there was actually a statistic shown lately that the leading cause of bankruptcy currently in America is due to medical debt. So it can happen. And this is another thing that we need to have in the back of our mind to be prepared against and shelter yourself against for what's coming. And the last honorable mention I'd like to mention before we actually get into the depth of the actual substance matter of this stream is that homelessness. I didn't share like people living in Los Angeles and the tent communities. I didn't share that slide because people's minds kind of gravitate to that and they know that that's a potential possibility. But a lot of the things we don't think about with homelessness is like our house burning down. Some catastrophic natural disaster happen and wipe out our home, and then you're on the streets. Our lives can change on a dime. It's something that people don't think about. I've actually experienced all four of the things that I've mentioned beforehand, and actually bankruptcy was because of medical debt in my life. But now this is one that I have just barely squeaked by and didn't experience. I slept on some friends' couches, on the floors. I stayed at my mom and dad's a little bit post-divorce and during this the segment of that going on. But thankfully, I was building a tiny house and managed to have a backup home in the event of that. So, I mean, sometimes, homelessness can happen, and it can happen from various different situations that's bring you to that. So these are things to keep in mind as these events that actually will unfold begin to unfold. So with that said, guys, no disrespect, I'm going to blow my nose real quickly. Sorry about that. Like I said, got a little bit of a cold going on. And we are going to jump right in to number one. And I encourage you to share this with people that are on the fence about if we're living in the last days, because as these events begin to unfold, it will be an eye-opener. Hopefully y'all willing to some people. Number one. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were up on the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before Elohim to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Now, please note that as I share this stuff, it's from different points in time and timeline, especially like when you look at Revelation and different prophetic things I'm sharing on here. Read all these chapters, read them in context, but I'm just trying to show you segmentations of it to show you that the clear potential of these things playing out. Now, when it talks about that in Revelation, and especially during the bowls of wrath being poured out, nations will fall. Now, something important I need to understand, and the first situation we're dealing with here is the fall of nations. Right now, you can look at Ukraine and Russia. I mean, it's just a cluster mess, right? But as you look at the potential for this happening, number one thing we know is when the earthquakes starting and they signal the seven trumpets of Revelation, and then the other earthquakes that take place during Revelation, it's going to cause massive catastrophic damage to the nations of the world. But there's also a second potential. That's like 1A. Well, 1B potential of that is we've seen nations divide and tear apart and fall apart. Look here in America, the Civil War, how it tore America apart, how that it was once one piece of the pie, and then it broke into multiple, right? Well, then you also look at like when the Vandals destroyed Rome. I mean, history, the past is always indicative of the future. And so I'm sorry, did I say that right? I apologize, guys, because I've been sick. The future is always indicative of the past, right? Many times. So you look at what happened in like Rome when it fell, and it was such a great pillar of civilization at its time. I mean, I feel like we're right here at the gates. And please note I did say feel, because I can't tell you tomorrow that America is just going to burn to the ground and the rest of the world as well. But nevertheless, we're looking at a clear potential of things falling off the rails right now. And Most High Yah Baruch, all of you guys that's coming in the chat. If you, by the way, guys, any super chats, do appreciate it. Just help support the channel. Moving to point number 2. All right. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places, and these are the beginning of sorrows. Please note the hash mark off there of the beginning of sorrows. Now, as we look right now, the situation in Ukraine, there's an interesting documentary that, now listen, a lot of people's going to get bent up on I'm about to say, but my friend, shout out to you, sis, for the donation. Appreciate you. Is that whenever you look at the situation in Ukraine right now, a lot of people get in their feels and say, let's support Ukraine. But now I want to be honest with you. If you look at Ukraine's history of swapping sides and allegiances, the wickedness that they done during during the time of Nazi Germany and joined sides with Nazi Germany. I mean, there is a lot of crazy, twisted up stuff in the past of Ukraine. And I'm not saying Putin's a good guy either. I'm just telling you, you know, like, especially when I look at the nations, what they've done to the Hebrew Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites, blood descendants of Abraham. And I'm not talking about the Khazar Jews either. I'm talking about the melanated, true descendants of the Hebrews, ancient ones. I cannot find in the annals of the history books where the USSR or Russia was part of the transatlantic slave trade or anything like that. So I'm just saying, I think we should be very mindful of looking at history before we go jumping on board with the news and the current narrative that's going on. There's always three truths. There's the truth of the one party, the truth of the other, and then the real truth of the whole matter. So anyway, moving forward, something to keep in mind too is 2 Ezra 16 says, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sackcloth, bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? And you can keep reading the rest of the chapter. The next point that I want to point out is the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils come? I believe is what the rest of that verse says. I've mentioned it. Me and Ron talked about this the other day, and just in part of the situations going on in the past of Ukraine and everything, as you can see right here. And sorry, give me just a second. I want to send a shout out. Thank you for the donation, Carline. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate that, and it helps go to the channel and different projects, things I'm working on. Is if you look at what I've told you recently too about the Ukraine situation in 2 Ezra 16 on these streams, you see Egypt right there, which is, you know, same as ancient Egypt. You see Iraq, which used to be ancient Babylon. You see Iran, which used to be ancient, the Near East, right? It used to be Asia, well, the ancient time. Mesopotamia, they would consider that Asia, all right? Like Alexander the Great's time when he was fighting over there with the war elephants and stuff like that. And that right there, you look at those three, and then of course Syria being, you know, Damascus is there, ancient Damascus, Syria. This situation has yet to play out, and by the best analysis I can see. And so who knows? You know, it may be the nuclear war people I think speak of in Ezekiel. Who knows? But one thing about it, when we begin to see this take place, Messiah talks about the beginning of sorrows. Here we see the beginning of sorrows in 2 Ezra 16 with a lot more definitive marker of what is going on when it pops off. So right here, moving forward, number 3, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of Yahuwah. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowls, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. Now, I don't know about where everybody was at, but I was in my corporate job at the crash of 08. Okay. I remember it very vividly. I mean, I remember it as if I'm standing there today. Now, if you look at the situation in 08, the crash and all the money printing, now I want you to also look at where we're at with the money printing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot escape this one. This one will come. It is simple economics. It is simple statistics. And I'm not trying to lie with statistics. See, I'm not Bill Gates sitting in front of a stack of books that says how to lie with statistics. I'm sitting in front of a stack of books that tells you about the word of the Most High Y'all. I got some game books up here. I got, you know, old school books, but I ain't got none of that nonsense. So I ain't got no agenda to lie to you about it. Why do I need to lie to you? Tell you things going to come fall down? That's going to affect me. That's going to affect my children. All right. So at the end of the day, as the let me see, what's the best way to say this? There is no escape. It is a reset is coming. Now, if you look at it, it's not too far-fetched to see it happen. I mean, everybody thinks just because we're in America that nothing can happen to us. And I'm speaking from an American standpoint today. But you look at Venezuela, their money's cast in the streets, folks. Look at that. I'm not making this up. There's a legitimate picture. All right. You know, one thing you can count on, you can get mad at Luke. You can talk bad about Luke, but I will not lie to you. You know, you just can't make this stuff up. That's an excellent point right there, real quickly, too, from Brother Matt. With all those stimulus packages that's going to blow up the American economy eventually. Absolutely. Guys, I give it 12 months. That's, I think we, what is those things, you know, the football boards or whatever, where everybody throws like $3 at it or something. We all ought to do a blow up board, like when the economy is going to blow up, and we pick a charity or somebody wonderful to help, and we all just throw some money at it and like pick a day on the thing. And whoever wins, like, we just send that money to that charity and have somebody hold the money. I think that's what we should do, because there's just no escaping it. And one more time, I just want to look at that graph again. Please note the spike, and then look over at the billions, and then look back over at the spike. We are not done. Okay. Just please note on that. Okay. This is, they're printing and printing. All right. Number 4. So we just went from an economic collapse. That's a definite, clear possibility. Revelation 16 says, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a newsome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Now, I'm not going to get too deep on this, because every time I go to talk about this particular one, I'm just going to call this the plague of the 2020s. All right. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The poke, the jab. I am so sick of this. Like, I don't even want to, I didn't even put no more slides in here but this one, because I don't need to speak on this. It speaks for itself. Matter of fact, in the words, looking at it, the best thing I can is call it the Purple Man factor, in game, the Marvel Avengers deal. Like, their goal is the Georgia Guidestone deal, just wipe out a huge chunk of humanity. Matter of fact, more than the Purple Man wanted to do in the Avengers show. But I mean, like, this is a clear potential. And matter of fact, right here today, at the moment I'm sharing this, the date. Oh, I don't know if it, let me pull the banner down for a second, because I think it's blocking the date. Boom. There you go. By Joel Mathis, March 17, 2022. A new COVID might be coming somewhere. Somehow we're not prepared. Guys, I've told everybody this, and I will preach this. This is like Luke's preaching message right now, is that if you think that this is over, this is a pause right now in the current circus act, because right now the current circus sideshow is the Ukraine-Russia war. We're going to probably pick back up on this nonsense late summer, early fall, and carry forward. And, the next thing they talked about, the best I remember from Bill Gates, was smallpox, which is some crazy, crazy stuff. And right here, go ahead. There you go. Deb Woods says, yep, they keep saying it over and over. They have no interest in letting this go. Right there you go, guys. I'm going to go share that comment right there. Absolutely. Here's another great comment. Absolutely. And so anyway, that's one we definitely need to be prepared for, because I mean, it's not over yet. If you think it's over, you're delusioned. I'm just going to say that right there. Number 5, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Please keep in mind the word sorceries there is in the Greek pharmakia, which means drug sorcery, which goes right back to what I just covered a second ago. So you can see how I'm tying all this stuff together. And listen, I don't know it all, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm telling you what, if a simple farmer, construction worker, contractor guy can put this together, don't think for a minute the so-called elites and the wise men of the earth cannot figure this out. All right. Thank you so much for that, guys. I appreciate it. Listen, I want you to understand something real quickly. I'm wrapping up my own business that I built years ago. Like I said, I've been on YouTube for a decade now coming up. I have been in the field doing construction for almost 8 years. I'm winding it down, and I'm coming back home to my farm to spend more time on here educating, enlightening, and edifying people about what's coming. So, I mean, please note that I'm applying a lot of my time and effort and love into this. So I want to make sure that I'm telling the truth to people, because this is one of my top priority focuses now moving forward till the master comes back. Because when he comes back, I want to be found working in the field. All right. So EMP. Now this, I used to, okay, let's just go over this real quickly. EMP, pandemic, zombie apocalypse. I used to just be like, nope, not have to worry about it. Not have to worry about it. Now they're all on my radar. Okay. Now, if you want, real quickly, before we get too far into the EMP, if you want to help support the channel and also benefit from it personally, Faraday Defense is now an affiliate of the channel. I really appreciate the guys for linking up with me. I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me. And some other affiliates and stuff, they've reached out to me. Everybody's reached out to me, and I appreciate that so much that they wanted to link up with me, and especially knowing what I'm doing with the show and stuff and everything. I appreciate that so much, because I know some people might not agree with my beliefs, and that's cool. You know, you can do whatever you want with your life, but I appreciate the folks that affiliate with us. So guys, if you actually go over there and purchase any of their EMP products, I get a kickback off that. I appreciate that. I'm just being honest with you about it. I'll definitely try to put it to a good work. I also, I'll be doing some stuff about Feast of Tabernacles this year. I think we're going to get a meetup set up for that this year. I have forgot to mention that too, so I'm really looking forward to that. Here's some other products from them, enclosures. Now, this right here, the bottom left, I've got some stuff I'll show you later that I actually got. I can't remember. It's probably been a year or two ago, and I keep one of them for like small device protection, and I think it's great for. Sorry guys, I got to get a drink of water. Sinuses are killing me. It's like you can put your cold storage wallet in it, and you can put cell phone in it, you know, burner cell phone, stuff like that, and it's not very expensive. So like, I'm not telling you like go buy a massive Faraday cage. I'm just saying like they have smaller stuff that's great for your small electronics protection and things. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, they help support the channel. With that said though, EMP. Now there's a couple crazy psychopathic politicians in this world. I am not beyond belief that they wouldn't push the nuclear football and do like Operation Fishbowl back in the day when they were trying to see if they could punch through the dome, because, hey, whether y'all like it or not, we live on a geostationary flat earth under a firmament dome. Well, water's above, water's below, like the Most High Yah is told. But the situation with that is with them high altitude detonating a nuke. I mean, it's definitely a potential that this could happen, because I believe when they were testing in one of the atolls, I think it was like 100 something miles away. I think that was nautical miles back in the day. It affected Pearl Harbor and them. It knocked out street lights and all sorts of different stuff. And I mean, like, it is possible that this can happen on a grand scale. And small test stuff's been tested in the past. So, I mean, you know, just something to keep in mind. And let's see, somebody real quickly, just catch a few comments. Somebody said, I love my battle box. Let's see what somebody said here. A couple of us in Jamaica are planning on starting our own community. We're going to need your help, bro. I love Jamaica. Dude, Dunn's Rivers Falls. Hold up a second. Let me see if I can pull up my screen here and lock it on my phone. I want to show y'all this so y'all don't think I'm lying. Can you see that? That's Dunn's River Falls in Jamaica. That is my screensaver. Dude, I love Jamaica, folks. And somebody asked, what do you think of EMP Shield? I've installed a ton of them over the years on people's off-grid systems. Have nothing negative to say about it. They even make them for your vehicle now too, so you might want to check that out. Oh, somebody said, yes, awesome. I have for my computers, phones. That's awesome, guys. Yeah, I don't have no negative complaints about my little Faraday bag stuff. I just don't have a large income to buy the larger stuff. So, I mean, to those that can, awesome. Good on you guys. Number 6, moving forward in this. And then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. All right. So civil unrest. All right. And that can begin in your home domestically, and it can be in the city streets. All right. We have seen all sorts of civil unrest in the United States over the years. We're going to continue to see civil unrest moving forward, especially with the Mark of the Beast and the New World Order and everything being implemented. I mean, this is going to be an everyday thing moving forward. I mean, we've had the trucker things, we've had all sorts of stuff going on. I mean, matter of fact, if you look right here, what's going to actually be triggered from this, I worry, later is the implementation of AI integrated in to solve this problem and deal with it. And not only that, but to wrangle people up and put them in places like this to deal with that later. And yes, you can call me a conspiracy theorist. That's okay. When it happens, I'm no longer a conspiracy theorist. And, you know, people don't really mock me much more about the end days, just saying. It's just so obvious anymore. There's no getting around it. You have to accept things for what they are. It's coming. Moving on with the next slide, number 7 is nuclear. Now, you know, we live in a time that where a lot of people are saying, you know, nuclear, it's not true, it's not a real deal, blah, blah, blah. And what I would say to it is I don't want to sit around and ask if it is or ain't. I want to be prepared for it, okay? And I want to just send out the last shout out to one of our affiliates for the evening on this stream is that, guys, if you don't have a nuclear, biological, chemical, radiological protective equipment for you or your family, they have it for adults down to infants. You can check out Mirror Safety. The link for them is in the video description below. Help support the channel. They have a wide range of equipment. I'll be doing a review here later. I've got a bunch of gear reviews. I've got a neat tactical katana, different stuff I'm going to be reviewing here now that it's getting springtime. Get outside and can do a bunch of this stuff. But make sure to check them out. Links in the video description below. Great prep gear to put back for this particular topic we're covering right this second. Now, people seen Fukushima go down, okay? Right now, we're actually seeing over in Russia and Ukraine, I worry about the Chernobyl situation going Chernobyl 2.0 again because of all that's going on over there in the war right now. These are clear potentials of disaster. Whoa, hold on a second. What did somebody say? Actually, Walmart signed a contract when they first came out. Wow. Signed with the government. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me, guys. Listen, all this stuff, there's nothing done in darkness that won't be brought to light. Ain't that what the master said? So, you know, it's just, it is what it is. But you got to understand that the biological hazard to the world that Fukushima done, okay, the wildlife catastrophes and everything. And then, you know, this is why also people shouldn't be eating unclean food, seafood, stuff like that, because of all the contamination now that's in the oceans, especially anything come from the Pacific, you shouldn't be eating it. I mean, there's just, you shouldn't be eating it. Even if it's clean food, I don't even think I'd eat it at this point just because of all that's went on. But the scripture talks about a time it's going to come where the third angel is going to pour out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they become blood. For they have shed the blood of your saints and prophets, and you have given them blood to drink as they deserve. So you think not only nuclear is going to be bad, I mean, it's going to be to the point where I think the scripture even talks about that the sea will stink and everything died in it. That is heavy duty. All right. Number 8. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famine and pestilence and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from the heaven. Now, please keep in mind a lot of these things. I've almost got it like chain links going, you know, and it's almost like a link chain going, right? And Luke 21:11, that verse talks about that. And this is important to understand. Now, a lot of people around the world are experiencing the volcanic activity that is beginning to be pretty intense. And, you know, I don't have to sit here and act like I'm some master scientist. I can show you some statistics in just a second that anybody can just go search up. But the volcanic activity in the world, it's just starting to be like crazy. And right here, this is from the Smithsonian Institute. You can look from way back when, World War I, World War II, moving on forward, the eruptions and the activity, it's just going up and up and up. And just like Messiah, you know, pretty much broke down long ago, the birth pains, you know, I mean, we're definitely approaching the birth pains of the last part of this age. Now, something interesting to keep in mind with this, and especially when I was on Doomsday Preppers Season 2, Episode 10 years ago, I think it wasn't too far from when I was in the lineup, that they had somebody that was preparing for the Yellowstone volcano to go off. Now, I think at some point when the worldwide earthquake takes place, I think it'll definitely one of them, one or two of them, the one starting the trumpets and the one at the end of the trumpets. I think both those will be worldwide fail. That's my thoughts on that. And I believe at some point it will trigger possibly the Yellowstone super volcano. And I've been out there. I've been right out there. My dad took me when I was a child. I've stood right out there at it, and it's going to be a crazy, crazy show to see if that takes place, because pretty much the northwestern United States is going to just be wiped out. And I hate to say that, but I mean, in reality, you look at Mount St. Helens when it blew, it threw ash cloud all the way out here to the eastern part of the United States. And that's why if you don't have a high-end, gas mask, fallout shelter, some kind of protection, anything, guys, some of this stuff's pretty wise to have, because it's a multi-function, multi-use. And we definitely need to have a safe place if you live in some of these regions. So volcanoes, definitely on the list. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So, I mean, hey, this potentially could be accomplished from multiple things, cosmological. This could be done from volcanic activity. This can be done from, there's a couple different possibilities. And so it's just something to keep in mind moving forward. Now, moving to the next slide, number 9. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed. It's going to be a lot of destruction to our oceans, folks. And if you look at this situation going forward, I mean, who knows what could trigger this? It could be, another earthquake trigger it. People, I really think when they see stuff like these pictures, they just laugh it off. They're like, only in apocalyptic movies, dystopian apocalyptic movies, does this stuff take place. And it's like, folks, I tell you what, I used to go to Florida and sit up on the beach in St. Augustine and be so joyful of heart to be there. It's like my safe space in the world, my quiet place. Please forgive me just a second while I blow my nose. I apologize, guys. Got the sinuses going crazy today. If you look at that right there, that is actually a very clear possibility in our world in the very near future. So many cities are located so close to the ocean that if a mega tsunami did take place that destroyed a third of the ships of the sea, that is going to be with such intensity, such violence, that when it comes in, it is going to wipe cities off the map. I don't know if you people have seen this, but when hurricanes come in, they'll wipe out whole beach communities, whole towns, just everything's wiped clean off the map. Imagine the force of water. Water is one of the most powerful forces up on this earth, one of the most powerful elements on earth. Matter of fact, it's used to cool radiological things for nuclear. I mean, like, it's used for so many different uses, hydroelectric power. I mean, like, the intensity, the power that is contained in water, it's just amazing. It's mind-blowing in a way. It's one of the most powerful elements on earth, I'll argue. And when that comes in one day, that is going to clean the slate. And if you live up near the ocean, I think it's just very wise to be mindful of this, because by the time a mega tsunami could come inland, it might be a nightmare to try to get inland. And when the trumpets start, I mean, when you see a third of the stars fall out of the heaven, when you see that go down, I would not waste time when I see the trumpets begin to start getting on up out of the cities, because it's not going to be long before you're going to see an event like this. Number 10. Therefore, and it's Revelation 18:8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahuwah Elohim who judges her. Now, right here, famine is real, ladies and gentlemen. I think, I forget the scripture talks about that in the end days, victuals will be cheap up on the earth. But, one thing about it is that many places in the world, people are struggling right now with famine. Now, what I've always said and will continue to say is the difference between living in a so-called third world country than a first world country is these people right here deal with this every day. So if they wake up in a tough situation today, they're going to wake up in the same situation tomorrow if the world, is falling apart. But people that live in a first world country and situation, if the world falls apart tomorrow, it'd be like Hurricane Sandy, I believe it was, that came into New York, that in 3 days people were walking the streets looking for food. We're living in the 20th century and people's like, oh, it just can't happen. But like, that was a recent example. How quickly famine can creep up on you in various ways. So this is something to be mindful of. Like, you need to be in a situation where you can grow your own food, you can have your own crops, you can have your own livestock, be in a good position. I'm not saying that you won't still face that, but if you're mindful of it now, you can make preparation and hedge against the day in which that is to come. So that is definitely something that many people will have to face in the near future. Right there, absolutely. When people can't go to the grocery store, they will go bonkers quickly. Absolutely. That's another great point right there. America has been a cesspool to the rest of the world in so many various ways. So number 11, Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Now, I want to go back and grab a slide real quickly to overlay over this that I've spoke of in the past, is that something you need to understand is AI is going to be used against us in the future. I didn't make it a event because it's an integral part of the main thing that will be done. You got to understand that, but it is necessary in the near future in order to do all the wickedness that they plan to do to humanity. It is absolutely paramount that they have AI functioning. And keep in mind, like Facebook right now, what's the first thing they done with AI when they got it functioning on Facebook? They use it to shadow ban people. So the first thing they taught AI on Facebook, for example, is tyranny. Okay. And it doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have a conscience. And you got to understand that when people like Elon Musk and other people say, don't bring open Pandora's box, don't bring this stuff out, you know, you got to be careful what you're dealing with. That's bad enough. But the sideshow of that is that cyber terrorism is starting to be a real thing. And I don't really call it cyber terrorism. I call it cyber piracy, because, like, for example, the Colonial Pipeline, these guys fouled this up bad. You know, they should have come had a consultation with me because, you know, I mine cryptocurrency. It's my side business and side hustle. And they should have really, listen, they could have paid me a $250 consult like I charge people for off-grid construction. They could have just dropped me a $250. I could have sat down with them for an hour, helped them understand the different type of cryptos, because there's public cryptos and private cryptos. And that way they could have had them, the Colonial Pipeline, when they were strapping them for their cash and sticking them for their paper. They could have had them pay them out in pirate coin and it wouldn't have been traced. But no, they did it in Bitcoin, got traced, and got busted. So, you know, and of course, guys, I'm just messing. I'm not going to help nobody do no thieving. But I'm just saying, like, these people are smart enough to cause disruption and damage. And now the next thing is, I think the propane companies and stuff like that's the next thing they're attacking. But that is the people that you have to worry about right now, because I mean, there's some smart people out there knowing how to do some terrible stuff. I want to just pause for a second, catch up a few comments. Somebody made a great point right there. Tyler said it's already being used against us. It is. And Brother Ron that I had on recently, guys, if you didn't see Brother Ron Dalton on Love Him Death Like Family, when he was down at the Restoring the Foundations conference, me and Brother Joel and the wife put on in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, if you didn't see where that he was talking in that one presentation about by 2025, AI will be fully autonomous. My heart is firmly focused on the events of 2025, because we have a new enemy that is fully functional by then, and that's AI. Okay. And somebody said, thanks for all the work you do, brother. I've loved watching your videos. So awesome. You do Sabbath shows. Hey, love y'all, guys. Listen, my heart is here with y'all now. I'm focused on this. I am winding down my own personal business, one of them, and I am really focusing on, you know, helping to win souls for the kingdom. Now, that's a great point, too. I want to point out, somebody said, Brother Luke, once the 7 last plagues begin, Revelation 8, the sanctified ones will have no need to prepare, because the 7 last plagues only fall on the wicked, unsaved. The righteous are all already delivered. Yeah, and I want to touch on that in a minute, and I appreciate that. I absolutely, I do want to touch on that. And one more. This is a great comment somebody said. I want to pause for a second. Those who follow Yahuwah, Elohim, and the son of Yahushua HaMashiach will be blamed in the end. Absolutely. You know what? I've told people that bad things are coming, and you know, in the end, they'll be like, oh, shoot, it happened. Well, you told us you're a bad guy. And somebody said, humbly disagree on crypto. I just want to say this on crypto, and I'll just leave the sleeping dogs where they lie. Ask folks over there in Russia right now how much their ruble's worth, and ask them how much their Bitcoin's worth. Okay, I'm just going to let that one on the table, because I guarantee you right now, you can look at some of the news interviews and people's talked about, they are grateful that they had their cryptocurrency to cash that mess out right now, so they can survive. And I'm not saying that won't be locked down in the future either, guys. We got to adapt with this system. We've got to adapt to work around the beast system right now. But anyway, stay on point. Right here is a recent article from The Guardian. Says that we are not ready, a cyber expert on U.S. vulnerability to a Russian attack. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, like, if you do have crypto, for example, talking about crypto, make sure to have a cold wallet. Make sure to have gold, silver, a little bit of it. Just make sure to be diversified and smart about things, because you got just ones and zeros on the screen. We live in the time of the Matrix, folks. You can be wiped out overnight. And look at all the sanctions stuff going on in Russia right now. Just saying. All right. Now, Revelation 9 and 7. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and they were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 moons. Because 5 months, 5 moons, biblical. Many people are looking for the gray man to show up. Now, I want to point out that Aleister Crowley spoke to Lamb. I believe was the name of that entity that he spoke to, which looked like a gray alien, which was apparently supposed to be Satan or Lucifer, whatever you want to call it. And CE4 Research Group, I believe it was, done a study long ago that showed that, you know, people that had interaction with so-called aliens, every time they cried out to Messiah, then they were demons. And you got to understand, though, that whatever's coming, I don't know what we're going to exactly see, because the way that I read scripture and go back to it, I'm starting to, I believe it was World's Last Chance showed it a long time ago, how the potential that, you know, like how the aliens movies and stuff like that, how they look, those creatures, that might be what we're seeing crawl up out of the bottomless pit, out of the abyss. And I don't know, but what I'm going to tell you is whatever comes up, they're not here for our benefit. They are demonic. And in those days, this is one of those things, one of those events that I'm hinging together. It says, Revelation 9 and 6, and in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to death, and death shall flee from them. What does that sound like to you? Zombie apocalypse. Now, I want to pause and also go on record and say I believe this is possible at this point. How can you seek death and not die? That to me is like zombie, all right? And furthermore, with the damaging and tampering of human DNA, I want to go on record for this. I used to believe there was only one race. Now I believe there is 2 races of people upon this earth. There is those with damaged DNA, and there is the ones that are still made in the image of the Most High Yah. And you might be from the seed of Japheth, the seed of Ham, the seed of Shem. You might be a Hebrew Israelite from down the lineage of Shem. But what I am saying is we're all one race. Now, we are from different tribes of the earth, all right, and different melanation in us. But please follow where I'm saying. There is, I believe strongly now, there's 2 races of human beings. Oh, that is a great one right there. Oh, man, you're going to have to trademark that one. Non-GMO and GMO humans. There you go. There you go. Transhumanism, absolutely. And so you got to understand at the end of the day with knowing that this is a clear possibility. And I do not encourage violence. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't know really how to combat this. And you might laugh at me when I say this, but that's why I bought like a katana recently. Like, I mean, I've bought extra things to lay around to go back to medieval if we need to. Oh, that's a great point right there. Book of Eli, Mad Max Episode 1, TV the ET. You're going to really love a slide I'm going to show here. Actually, a few slides I'm going to show here shortly. But guys, now I want to point something out to you. Many people love watching The Walking Dead, all right, and all these zombie flicks and stuff like that. There was the Week of Greatness commercial done by Foot Locker was, I thought, absolute debauchery and mockery of the Most High Yah's end days that are to come to take place. As a matter of fact, you can check it back on my channel. I don't know. I've done it a couple years ago, I believe it was. And you can see where that there was aliens. You can see where people were being taken up into UFOs. There was meteors falling. There was aliens. There was zombies. It was crazy. And it was almost like somebody read the book of Revelation. It's like, okay, we'll make the Foot Locker commercial surrounding this. And it's going to be a wild ride to see, but I think that people really love all this this flesh eating and the blood. You know, Scripture says now to consume the blood, the life's in the blood. And people love this stuff, right? But I think when they really actually see it, when they see somebody load up a 350, listen, if people's got children listening right now, you might, this is like a disclaimer. I'm about to get graphic, okay? When we live in a time when we see some kind of demonic being walking around tormenting mankind for 5 months, and we see somebody walk out in the street with a 357, load that sucker up and pull that trigger, and the hammer drops and a cap gets busted and the side of their brains go out the other side, and then they're still standing there and they don't drop dead for 5 months. Whew, I don't know about you, but that's going to be a wild show to see. So I'm just saying, the Scripture is telling you 5 months, some crazy stuff's going to go on. And when I say crazy, the word's not crazy. I'm just saying the events, to our viewpoint, it's going to be a crazy ride. All right. So number 13, we're about to wrap this up, guys. Number 13, got 2 left. Oh, shoot. Let me back up. I thought the button clicked too many times. All right. Mark 13:18, and pray ye that your flight be not in winter, for in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation which Elohim created unto this time. Neither shall be. And except that Yahuwah had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. And Mark 13:21 continue. And then if any man shall say to you, lo, here is Messiah, or lo, here is he is there, believe him not, for false messiahs and false prophets shall rise and shall show signs and wonders to seduce. Please note the word seduce. If it were possible, even the elect. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you these things. Quick pause, guys. Somebody said, I see it happening, though. Absolutely. I do, too. Love your live streams. I appreciate you, brother. Somebody said here, the fight is definitely coming to the sealed. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to get crazy. Somebody said, are we living in the Matrix? Asking for a friend. Absolutely. Yeah, ask them for me, too, bro. I feel like we're living in crazy, crazy scenes in the Matrix. But, guys, I call this the Mad Max factor. I want to shout out to, I believe the subscriber was TV the ET a minute ago, said Mad Max. I had this in here, okay? And I call this the Mad Max factor, okay? Because people's going to be out here looking for their pound of flesh when this goes down. Not only that, you're going to have Hannibal Lecters, Ted Bundys, psycho, crazy people out here. You're going to have people with camp doctrines out here. You're going to have religious fanatics out. Somebody's going to be like, you're a religious fanatic, Luke. Dude, I don't bother anybody, guys. I ain't got a criminal record. So I'm a nobody that bothers nobody. But there is people out here that when the time comes, you're going to see them really, really start to go full psycho, sociopathic, psychopath, Joker, Riddler, Batman world, crazy stuff, Mad Max. Okay. I mean, like, it's going to happen. And you got to understand, there's people out here like this. They're waiting. They're waiting for the curtain to drop at any point, and they're going to start living out their crazy psycho fantasies of post-apocalyptic world. Now, you see me, I've went from a homesteader in my life to a prepper to homesteader. And there's a movie called The Road, I believe it is. And I tell you what, it somewhere between it and Mad Max movies, I really believe a lot of sectors of the world will turn to that. And there's some crazy people that people cling to. I don't understand this. It's like the fat, and I don't mean to be derogatory to people, but it's like the fat, crazy, rich psycho people want to just cling to them. I mean, look at our elected leaders in the world today. Like, a lot of them are like just complete and utter waste of space in my book, almost. All right. And people just cling to them. They idolize them. They worship them. It's insanity. But on a lower microcosm, micro scale, you're going to see a lot of this coming. And you need to be prepared for it. So I call that the Mad Max factor. Okay. And just FYI, when I get my Cybertruck or either that other electric pickup that's coming out, y'all will, and I'm going to put on the front of it Mad Max 2.0, and on the back it's going to say 7 trumpets. That's my tags to go on the car. But this right here, you need to really, I'm serious, guys, like, you need to be prepared to protect your family, because when government, and see, I think the trumpets is going to be a great thing. At the same time, you always got to look for the good in, and I won't say the trumpets are bad. They're Yah's, that is what the Master Yah has decided is going to come to pass. But when we see this play out, one good thing about it is hopefully that will remove governments. Hopefully that will remove, the whole FEMA camp thing. It will remove a lot of problems to deal with. But one thing I worry that it won't remove is gangs and drug dealers, gangbangers, scum of the earth, psychopaths. Like I said, I don't mean to beat this to death. I'm just saying I put this in here because now this is some stuff that a lot of people in the prepping world just don't talk about. And I'm telling you, there's a bunch of psycho people out there that want their pound of flesh, because where I'll go next door and help my neighbor with a can of beans or grow a garden together, these people here, they'll gladly kill you and maybe eat you and your whole family. So just something to be prepared for. You're going to have to deal with it like Mad Max did in some sectors of the world. That's a clear possibility. Now, before we go any further, right here, fear Yah and keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of a man. Somebody asked, do y'all believe you live on a ball? Well, I don't know about everybody else, but I'll speak for myself. We live on a geostationary flat earth under a firmament dome. Water's above and water's below. Now, this one is the last slide, guys, coming up. And I want to tell you that after, I think with 10 years coming up in this ministry, 10 years, just 10 years of my prepping life on YouTube and what I've tried to do to help people and doing business and building people off grid and stuff like that. This is the most important prep to me above all, because so many of the things that's going to happen, it's contained within this right here. Okay. So without further ado, that would be the 7 trumpets of Revelation. This is the most important event that will happen, whether I'm breathing or not, alive or dead, asleep in the dust of the earth, waiting on the resurrection, to either a resurrection of righteousness and everlasting life, or a resurrection of damnation and extinguished in fire. One way or another, these events are going to take place. And if we look at all the things that were already in motion potentially for the future, we can definitely see a lot of this is going to play out right up here, because number one, the first trumpet, a third of the green grass and trees are burned up. All right. So when we see a third of the stars fall, well, number one, let's pause for a second. The great earthquake that will shake the world before this party gets started, right? It's going to damage a lot of things. But then next up, when we see a third of the stars fall out of the literal heavens above, because they're still up there right now, folks. But when we see a literal third of the stars fall out of the heavens and start burning up a third of the trees and the earth and everything and the green grass, it's go time. And then when we see a third of the sea become blood, because a third of the ships and sea life are destroyed, because most likely mega tsunami, either by great thing cast from the firmament dome above, or either mountain burning falling into the sea causing earthquakes, mega tsunami. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know exactly how that's going to play out. I just know the end result of what plays out. And then third, we have a third of the waters turn bitter, and that's from a star falling from the heaven. And then number 4, we have a third of the sun, moon, and stars do not shine. And we've discussed earlier in this presentation how multiple ways that could arrive at that. And 5th, we have locusts wield the beast military power, or pretty much, they come forward and are serving Satan, just, hurting humanity. And for 5 months, people seeking death and can't even find it, pretty much. So you can only imagine the show that's going to put on. Andrea Moore, appreciate you on the $5 donation on the channel. Appreciate you guys so much. the sixth trumpet, we have a 200 million man army, a third of mankind killed. And, it talks about, I believe it is the river Euphrates drying up. If you haven't looked at the river Euphrates, it's starting to dry up today. So just another simple sign that we are living in the last days. And then lastly, the kingdom of the Most High is declared. And I would like to point out something that Brother Wes Blaze shared. I'm also going to try my best to get him on this month. I just got to write him back again on Facebook, a reminder. And we got to get that set up on the date, y'all willing. But when he shared a long time ago, the apocalypse of Abraham, and, I read that, and I take no credit for that. Brother shared that. I didn't even know that book existed. And I looked it up and read it. And, the seven domes, it's very interesting to me that me and Brother Joel was talking about that, the Most High is probably in the 11th or 12th dimension. And bear with me a second on this. Is we live in a three-dimensional world, right? And some people argue fourth dimension, space, time, all these things, right? And we can see things three-dimensional, et cetera, and go on. Well, as the trumpets sound, I almost wonder, as the trumpets sound, if it's not a dome being breached, because there's seven domes, apparently, according to the Apocalypse Abraham. And I'm just throwing this out here. This is all theoretical off the top of my head. But I just wonder as if those domes are being opened up for the kingdom of Yah to come down to be here on earth with mankind. Because everybody want to go to heaven, but guys, I'm sorry, I don't want to go to heaven. I want the kingdom of heaven to come to me, if that's okay. But with that said, as these trumpets sound, I just wonder if that's as the Most High is coming through another layer, quantum physics, frequency, whatever you want to call it, to be here with us on earth. Very interesting thought that's been running through my mind. Something I'd love to chop up with my flat earth brothers one day on some streams and bring them on here and let it fly. And especially Brother Wes Blaze, I'm going to bring him on, y'all willing to talk about the seven domes, if all that can sort out in the Apocalypse Abraham. That's what I want that stream to be about, in particular when he comes on. But something to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, this needs to be like a person needs to have this wrote down, printed out something on the wall and look at it and be like, okay, what do I need to do to get ready? Because this is coming. And read a couple comments here. Said, yes, great stream, brother. I appreciate you. Interesting thought. Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. But I do wonder, what the future will look like with a lot of these things here when they do begin to happen. And that's a great question right there. This, I think, is the question of the evening right here. Nick Ale asked, what should we be doing when we see a third of the stars fall? I believe that we should have our house in order, fully in order by that point, because that is the point of no return. Like earthquakes can happen every day. That worldwide earthquake may happen. We'll be like, well, is this the one? But one thing about it, when the first trumpet sounds, we know it is game on. And you got to look at the situation and be like, when that happens, you better have everything in place for what's coming, because there's no turning back at that time. And and now somebody said right here, it could be Yah giving mankind time to repent. Now, please note, guys, that the first four trumpets, I believe, is a great opportunity for people to repent. The last three are woes, described as woes. So it's pretty much game over. And somebody said, look busy. You better be busy, because I'm going to tell you what, man, it ain't no turning back at that point. But guys, I hope that, as I've went through this presentation tonight, I've shared all these points that, it's helped enlighten somebody. I hope you can share this with your family and friends and enlighten them, and show them not only the nearness of Messiah coming and the Most High's kingdom being set up on, established here on earth, but not only that, but to see the realization that many of these things can happen. I mean, for crying out loud, when I shared out, what was it, the second or third slide? War is going on right now. Like, I wouldn't say World War III, but these wars and rumors of wars, like, this stuff is legit. I mean, there is so much going on. And I'm going to clear that off for a second. Just hang with you guys. But, at the end of the day, I guess where I'm at with it is I can only do so much. I'm just flesh and blood. And, that's why Brother Joel and Brother Akeem turned me to this book here recently, The Tongue, A Creative Force. Like, I'm really trying to pray lately. Like, I prayed the other day. I was like, thank you, Father, for making me a millionaire. It's not that I'm a greedy guy, dude. Since there's no problem with me helping support people and give somebody else money. Money doesn't make me happy, guys. The beach makes me happy. A warm meal makes me happy. Chocolate makes me happy. Like, I'm not a materialistic person. And so, money just doesn't hit it for me. Okay. The love of a beautiful woman. Like, there's just few things in life that actually, matter to my heart personally. But I've been praying like positive prayers lately. I'm like, thank you for the funds. Thank you for, my health. Thank you for all these things, as if they were already here. So that, within faith and prayer, I believe that it's going to come to pass. And therefore, I can also be a viral call to other people and help them. And somebody said, I know it's off topic, but I can ask you a question about marriage. Sure, fire away. I'll get to it here in a minute, guys. Somebody said, love this presentation. I appreciate it, guys. I hope it's been helped to everybody. And I'm going to hang out for the next 5-10 minutes and chop it up in the comments with you guys. But for those that's coming in for the presentation, that's part's over. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can only do so much to get prepared. I've been at this since the winter of 2009, since I came out of SUN Day Church as a elected deacon, and then Seventh-day Adventist Church went to there, and then I left there to walk out the way and keep his Sabbaths and his new moons and appointed times and his festivals, and just try to do the right thing, eat clean, follow the Torah, and and that's just where I'm at with it. And all that time preparing, I still feel like that I need to do more. So I feel like when the time comes, if we're really trusting, I'm sure the Most High is going to work it out for us in faith. It's just do what you can every day, a little alone, is what I say. Randolph said, can't get chocolate without money. And let's see what it said. What's the name of the book again? It is The Tongue, A Creative Force by Charles Capps. That's the book sharing this week. And another thing, guys, I got to go do a job out in California here coming up in May. I can't get the book right now, but I'm trying to finish that one book about the New World Order, and I'll definitely share that information again too. Let's see. They say, I fear my own government more than any other country. I do too. Honestly, like if somebody asked me right now, how concerned would I be with Russia? I actually worry more about the United States of America killing me than I do Russia. Is that bad? I mean, for crying out loud, I volunteered for the military years ago, but I just ain't no way that I'd want to be in the United States military right now. No disrespect to our veterans or anybody serving. I'm just saying, like, the terrible things that our country has done to other countries and assassinated people and all the stuff CIA's done. And man, we've messed and meddled with a lot of people. I'm sorry, I won't say we. This nation in which that I currently dwell, waiting on the sovereign kingdom of the Most High to come, where I can be happy and serve the Most High in peace. I've seen a lot of terrible atrocities done just in my time. It's too much for me to even trust my country anymore. Somebody said right there, absolutely, you can prepare all day, but at some point there will be a moment where you will need the Most High's protection. That's absolutely right. I mean, there's going to come a point where it's going to be Daniel in the lion's den moment. It's going to be Joseph with the granaries moment. I mean, it's going to be Noah and the ark moment. There's going to be some times. And somebody said right there, 9/11. Absolutely. I think 9/11 is when a lot of people woke up and said, I don't trust America anymore. Lucas, would you carry a pistol AR for bug out boomstick? I'm wanting to get me a pistol AR, but actually one of like the pistol AKs for my gear in my truck on the back rack behind the seat. Yeah, man, I definitely think that's not a bad thing to have. Absolutely. So he said, thank you so much for what you do, brother. Peace and many blessings. You are blessed in the y'all in Israel. Hey, love everybody. Love brothers and sisters Israel from, what's interesting to me? Now my heritage is native Siberian, and then it's Germanic, Scottish, and then to America. And I look back, and I'm so glad that from what I can find of all my studies in ancestry, that I came from people from the far northlands that had nothing to do with transatlantic slave trade, anything like that. Because I didn't want the blood on my ancestors on my hands. I don't want it on my hands either. And I'm going to tell you what, that's why I say right now, everybody needs to stick their nose out of whatever's going on in Ukraine, Russia, because the way I look at it, there's countries the world's done far worse things than them folks up there in the Northland right now. Somebody said, I used to have fear, but the more I pray, the more fear leaves. Absolutely. You know what's bad is all these years I used to worry about dying, especially from a teenager forward. And now, in my later 30s, I'm just like, it's not the dying part that gets me. We all come in this world. I think my baby girl being born really woke me up to this, is that we come in this world cold and naked and afraid and surrounded by strangers, and we feel alone. I'm sure the child's scared and alone at first, and there's just all the struggle, and there's pain in childbirth and all this stuff, and on our way, and we come in with nothing, and when we die and we go out, we're fragile, and we're scared, and we're cold, and we're alone, and we take nothing with us, and it's just, it's interesting to me. It's very humbling. And I think that people need to look way past that point, though, and consider it's not dying that bothers me now. It's dying in an unrighteous state. That's the part that is my focus now. I do not want to die in an unrighteous state. Somebody asked, what was the author's name of the book, The Creative Force? It's Charles Capps, and that's Capps. Somebody said, hallelujah. We always need Elohim. Absolutely. This is a great one. This Exodus will be greater than the first. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. Absolutely. I'm intrigued to see what happens here in the near future, because the Most High talks about, that he will gather his elect from the four corners of the earth. That's going to be an interesting day to see right there. So guys, I'm going to wrap this stream up. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to try to rest up and get to feeling better. I've got to go actually try to go out and see a client tomorrow and some other things. But guys, I hope the stream's been a help to everybody. I hope it can be a wake up to people, like I said, if you share it with them. And until we see again here on the channel, just a couple last notes is, like I said, if you've got anybody that you would like to have on the show, or a topic brought up on the show, a specific topic addressed, please email me. I will do my best to try to address that, y'all willing. Also, if you want to go over, like I said, and check out Brother Matt's channel, Back to the Covenant, the stream we did the other night together about the lesser light, you can check that out. And also make sure to come back next week on Sabbath, because at 8 o'clock I will have him on, and we'll be talking about scriptural cosmology, and I think that'll be really phenomenal to fellowship on and everything. And let me see, we've got everybody on here. Dana Stevens, you know what, that is not a bad idea. Could definitely get him Dana on here. I did not think about that. That's a good idea. Yeah, guys, just like I said, email me though, any ideas. I will definitely try to line it up. Got pretty much, I think it's next month lined up. There's a couple slots I could fill somebody in, and then we can get some people in here, y'all willing, in May. So let me clear this off here real quickly and get ready for the out to go. All right. So guys, as always, till we see you again here at Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel and here on the Hard Truth Show, I hope the Most High Yah Baruch you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends. In Yahushua name.